This is Chris Cannella of Autumn's End, and you're listening to Rich's Heard It on the X.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to the East Coast Premier Music Talk Show. We're joined by Tim Reynolds, and Josh and I are having a nice conversation about loopers that aren't loopers.
Yeah.
And these two guys that used to come in my store and just rave about you, Tim. I was just telling Josh during the commercial break, they would, I think maybe 15 years ago, 10 maybe 12 years ago, you had played the Trelf here in town. And these guys...
I remember that place.
Oh, these guys, man, they drove me nuts before your show, and they drove me nuts after your show, and they brought me your disc. I mean, it was all mind-blowing stuff. But these guys, I wish I could remember their names right now, but I know Josh was...
I paid them a whole lot of money to do that.
Yeah, that's what they said. They had said that to me. As a matter of fact, I think you had came for the encore, if I'm not mistaken, you came out in a gas mask and you had rubber gloves on.
Oh, yeah.
And they were floored by the fact that you could play the guitar with these rubber gloves on, which I was floored too, by the way.
Hell, I don't even know what the hell I was doing.
Talking about a couple discs, you got a new disc coming out. It's coming out June 21st with TR3, the Live from Space and Beyond. It's a double live album. That's from a couple of gigs that you played in 2009, correct?
Yeah, it was, let's see, Chicago and Towson, Maryland, and Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
And you got that coming out the 21st. And I'm just looking at the track list here. I mean, for people, of course, TR3's playing Club Infinity this Saturday. A whole lot of loves on there. How many more times? Hocus Pocus and stuff. Those are just some of the covers that you got on there. But tell me about that album. What made you want to put out a live TR3 album?
Well, I guess after we had the band together for 2 years and we've been on the road, you know, it kind of really became a solidified unit, as it were. You know, sometimes it takes, you know, every band that, you know, sticks together, they usually just get better and better. And then, so I just felt like at that point we had like some things, you know, we had really fun live, rapport with the audience. So we're trying to, you know, capture that on some of those gigs, and we did. I'm really psyched because you know it's like, you know, you had to bring people to record it so you can go back and mix it as opposed to just make a board tape. But it was a lot of fun. You know, the first gig I wasn't sure we should have recorded at the time, the very first gig of the tour, because sometimes that's like the one where you're kind of getting back into groove. But actually, that gig we used half of the stuff was from that gig, just because sometimes the first gig has like a special energy, just like the last gig. You know, all gigs are really different, and the way you interact with the audience makes you play different, and that's for the joy of being on the road and playing. I mean, being on the road, sometimes you can be tired from traveling or not sleeping, but once you start playing the music and the audience is there, it's like almost like sex, you know, when they're really keyed into what you're doing and you key into their, you know, the sounds they make or whatever. It makes the music really alive every time, and I almost feel like I'm always making mistakes, but it's a lot of times just I'm playing little different things because the energy is always different in each club, and I just really live for that kind of interaction.
That's really cool. And you say that some of those songs are from the first gig you played that tour. There's another album coming out, Dave Matthews Band Live at Wrigley Field, from the last show that you played on your past summer tour there. That's coming out May 31st. I mean, there's that one. Talk about those Wrigley shows or just that tour.
Oh, God, that was kind of a blur at this point. We worked really hard last year. I mean, we were like, it seems like we were just constantly on the road, and we went to Europe and then to South America. Mm-hmm. But I remember that show just because that's a fun place to play. You know, I like going to Boston, and that's just a classic place. You know, I just remember those gigs are really fun. We don't really play stadiums all that often, so it's always pretty memorable to do that, you know.
Yeah, there was a couple stadium shows. I know PNC Park, Fenway, like you said, in Boston. But you're not so much a huge summer tour this year, but you are going to be really busy with the Caravan festivals that are going on with the Dave Matthews Band. You're, of course, headlining each night with the band, but you're going to be doing TR3 sets and the Dave and Tim acoustic sets. So you're going to be, you know, busy that entire weekend for those those shows.
That's right. Luckily, there's just one of the acoustic shows and one of the TR3 shows over the course of 3 days. So, because at first I was like, wow, am I going to be doing 3 gigs every day? And I was like, I I better get ready for that, get exercise and get plenty of sleep. But as it turns out, it sounds easier than it. I started out thinking it was really going to be more work, so I'm actually relieved that it's just that much. So I'm psyched actually to get TR3 out in a big, in front of a big audience.
Yeah, that's cool because they definitely deserve that.
Do you like the bigger audiences, or you like the smaller club shows? It seems like most people prefer the smaller, intimate club show.
I kind of like. I mean, it's all great because once you get on stage, it's kind of like the sacred space for musicians, regardless of the size. There's just this relationship with you and people. But I'm so used to playing clubs. That's kind of what I grew up doing. Not that I ever grew up actually, but
good for you.
I just kind of like. You can see the people, and you can feel the energy of especially a rectangular space where it's just the energy coming right off the stage, straight out into people. I love that. There's a great energy. Even like the littlest dive, sometimes you can go in a place and it kind of smells bad before the gate starts, and then once all these people are in there, you don't smell the smell anymore, and then the music starts and people just get off, and then this kind of, funky place becomes this great present moment, and so I really like all that. I mean, you never know what it's going to be like till you actually start. Sometimes you go in a club and it looks great, or it's a sports bar, or, different things. You're not sure if the music's going to go over there. I mean, you're always surprised, usually, because once you start playing music, people are ready to go,
Yeah, that's usually the best surprises are the clubs where you don't think it's going to work, and all of a sudden it does. And just like you said, I mean, you weren't sure if you wanted to record the first night, and it turned out you used half the stuff. So there's this magic thing that just, that you can't calculate. It just happens.
Yeah, it's literally like magic, because back in the crazy fertility religions, they would use all these, rituals for magic, but it would always have to be at the right time and the right place, and so people think magic's kind of screwy, but it's got to be inspired, isn't it? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen you at some of these club shows and theaters and stuff, and one thing that you have always done at the shows that I've seen is you always make sure you come out and you talk to fans, and that's really cool. I saw you in Virginia in '09, and just this past November, saw those shows, and both times you came out, you said hi to fans. I remember in '09, I don't even know if you remember this, you came up to actually me. I was wearing a Miles Davis shirt, and you came up to me, and we ended up having a conversation about Miles Davis for a little bit. But
dude, you know what's happening right now in my house?
Miles Davis?
Can you hear this? You fucking oh, excuse me. Right on. Sorry.
Is it? Yeah, Miles Davis?
Yes, Miles Davis.
Cool.
Yeah, that's.
I got excited there.
That's okay. That's okay. We can dump it. We're on a delay.
We have editors.
So,
I really apologize.
It's no problem at all. That's rock and roll. And that's really our engineer is he's bored anyways. He's just got to sit in there and keep his finger on the dump button because you never know what's going to get said. So you're listening to Miles now. That's interesting too because you are. You're influenced by a lot of different things, and it really comes out in your music. I mean, you're definitely influenced by classic rock, and there's some. I mean, to me at least, when I hear it, there's folk influences, there's classical guitar influences, there's a lot of different, and obviously Miles, there's a lot of different influences that come out in what you do. It's incredible.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, just it's an incredible incredible gumbo, I guess you would call it.
It's a stew.
It really is.
It's a stew of Tim Reynolds stew.
And listening to you play guitar is so interesting to me because it's just a very original, different style. And you'll listen to one thing and you'll think, well, maybe he's influenced by this. And then you'll listen to another thing and you'll think, I don't know where he got that from. It makes no sense to me. But it's very, you're a brilliant musician. And it's really, it's an honor having you on the show because you're just a brilliant musician. And, I don't know that musicians like you come along as often as they should anymore.
Oh, well, thank you. I always feel like I still need to get more influences because I'm always thinking, I know all the stuff that I listen to, so I'm always trying to search for something fresh, you know what I mean? Or go back into the history of music and find something I didn't catch when it was out, I mean, there's always a search for more input, as it were.
Well, and even like we were talking about the long delay or what it eventually became looping, by the time other people were into it, you were out of it. You were probably one of the major influences of it, to be honest with you, for the pedals to even happen. But take somebody like Hendrix. Hendrix never stopped learning and listening, and he was always looking for something different. And by the time people were on to what he was doing at this time, he was already doing something else personally. He had, he had no time for that. He was already on this. He'd been there, done that. So I consider you that type of a musician.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So we've got Saturday the 28th is going to be at Club. You're going to love this club, and these guys are great people. I mean, they're excellent, excellent people. You're going to love this club. It's got great sound. It's just a big open room, but it does have an intimate feel to it.
Nice.
A little bit different than the Trelf. I don't know if you remember the Trelf, but a little bit different, more of a regular concert venue. But they're top-notch people, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's Saturday the 28th.
I will be there for sure.
Josh is going to be there for sure.
Tim, if you need any, I know you like to bring up the guest dancers. Give me a call. I'm down to. I don't want to ruin any surprises, but I'm down if you need me.
If you need chicken wings, if you need guitar strings, if you need anything under the sun, Joshua will be there. Okay, and Josh will probably be there the night before, because this is really an exciting time for Josh. He's a huge Tim Reynolds fan, and he's a huge Dave Matthews fan, and this has been pretty exciting for him, I think. Don't you think?
Yes. I've followed you since I think I was like in 5th grade when I started listening to you, and then the Dave and Tim acoustic stuff, and I was one of those guys that had to go get an acoustic guitar and start learning that, and then I fell into your TR3 stuff, so I'm excited for Saturday's show.
Oh, me too, man. I can't wait to see you all again.
All right, it's going to be perfect. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us, and we will see you Saturday, okay, my friend?
All right, it was a pleasure to talk to you all guys today, and I'll see you then.
All right, safe travels, my friend.
All right, man.
Very nice guy.
Very nice, and he's very knowledgeable in music. And the thing is, his sort of quirky guitar playing and quirky style and unique style is also his personality. He's very unique, and he's got his own style of just a personality. He's just he's out there.
I've obviously been influenced by music my entire life.
Yes.
And guys like him are always the same guy. As bizarre and unique as he seems, they always have the same traits. And like I say, Hendrix is that way. Hendrix was just always looking for something different. Eddie Van Halen, same way. I mean, these innovator guys that are just doing things differently than anybody else. And by the time people have caught up to them, they've shifted gears. They're already doing something else. The other thing about him, too, though, I mean, I was watching some footage of him earlier today on YouTube before the show, obviously, doing my research in the office there. And he's a brilliant player. I mean, this is not somebody who just is a trickster. He's a brilliant player. We've seen him with Dave Matthews the last 2 tours in Buffalo here. We've seen him. He's a brilliant guitar player. I mean, this guy can get it on guitar. If you want him to just stand there and play some solos for you, he's going to tear your face off.
Yeah, he was just nominated for Best Instrumental Song for a song that he had on the Dave and Tim Live in Vegas album last year. But I mean, yeah, he'll just. And the thing is, you put him in that acoustic setting, and he plays, a completely different style than when he plays with the Dave Matthews Band and when he plays with TR3. It's completely different styles all around.
Yeah. This is going to be fun. And once again, it's at Club Infinity. I'm a big supporter of that club, and I love what they're doing. I love what they're doing over there. I think Kenny's a great guy. Ross is bringing a bunch of shows there. I just like that there's a real concert venue in Western New York again, where those guys care about music, and those guys do care about music. They really, they have their own styles that they like. Kenny likes a little more avant-garde stuff, which tends to bring good shows in. I feel bad for guys that own clubs right now because once again the summer concert season is in full swing, starting up.
Yeah.
I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but do we got time for a commercial? This is one of the things that frustrates me about Buffalo. There's a ton of free shows. That's great, right? Yeah. Art Park gets X amount of taxpayer money. I don't know who handles Thursday in the Square. I don't know if there's taxpayer money involved there. I'm sure there is. But, it crushes these clubs. I mean, how are these clubs going to have any classic rock acts in when they have to make money? They got to pay their bills. When you look at Art Park's schedule and they have
for free
every major classic rock
act, Cheap Trick,
38 Special,
CCR, Greg Allman,
Oyster Cult. I mean, it just keeps.
And also more modern bands. OAR, the Trues, who are going to be joining us in a couple of weeks. Mo, Humphreys, McGee. I mean, that younger generation of modern bands too. The free shows, those are just Art Park scheduled. You look at Thursday at the Square schedule, Grace Potter and the Nocturnals, Blues Traveler. These are all free shows.
Ronnie Hawkins is going to be there.
Yeah, Ronnie from Lowest of the Low.
And like I say, I was told that Art Park gets a $1.5 million grant to do this. I don't know how fair that is. I mean, I think it's cool, but maybe they could back off and have a couple free shows and let these clubs, you know, like Kenny and the boys, let them bring Cheap Trick in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't charge ridiculous amounts to see a show there, anyways. I don't know if there's a ticket that's over $40 there. And when Ross brings a show in, he tries to keep ticket prices around $25, which anybody can afford. Any music fan can afford that. Mm-hmm. Plus two, I got to say this, and we had Tim talking about it. I like club shows. I like how things sound in clubs. I personally, as a musician, I'm not a big fan of playing outside. It sounds different. You can't get the energy across, I don't think, as well. I like club shows, and I think we're lucky to have Club Infinity and Rapids Theater and Club Paradise, which is switching gears and going to be doing that. You know, we're lucky to have
and
all
places
that.
like the Ballroom and stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure, absolutely. Okay, we're going to go ahead to a commercial break. We're going to come back on the other side with some music news. Stick around, folks. Heard it on the X.